How to distribute resources in Kenya is an old discussion, and it remains relevant as most areas in the country were marginalized many years after the country attained independence. Through Equity Week, academia, civil society, government, the arts community, development organizations and citizens come together for a conversation about the promise of a more equitable development enshrined in Kenya's 2010 constitution. Equity Week 2017 was held in November in various venues within Nairobi and in Elgeyo Marakwet County. Through conversations in the different events involving professionals, leaders and the community alike, one thing emerged clearly: the people's resolve to not just commit to a discussion but take charge in tackling first-hand issues of inequality affecting them. In the first step towards this, specific groups and the public alike have taken the challenge to generate data to the extent of inequality in their localities.
The question we are trying to answer this afternoon: what is it that we are doing to try and address inequalities in our own areas? Because I'm sure all of you are doing something. I only don't know what it is. So it will be good to hear and share those experiences, small ways, big ways. That will be nice, because I think it is important that these stories are captured.
So Map Kibera started in 2009 when we saw that Kibera is a blank spot in the government map. And it bothered us so much to see that our community is marked as a blank spot. And so we said, how can we map it and show the world that we exist? This is our home. And with a group of 13 youths from Kibera, different villages, we decided to start mapping. And then we produced a general map of Kibera, which was so congested. We were mapping almost everything. And before we broke it down, we called several community forums, talking to community members to ask them what would be their priority. What would they want us to map first? And there was a whole list of different items people were saying that they wanted to be mapped. So we wanted to start opening up a discussion around this. If we have so many clinics that are private, and we have a few in Saba, a few in Katwekera, and a few in Soweto, using this data, we could argue or something can be done to change this situation. And then we came up with an idea of citizen journalism. How then can we make people to speak about these issues that have been highlighted by the map? If the map is showing that we don't have toilets, can't we let people speak about it? So that's when we came up with something called Kibera News Network. It's our video platform to enable people to speak about these issues that have been highlighted by the map. We again thought about Voice of Kibera, an SMS reporting platform that again make it very easy for people to send text messages of what's happening.
Everyone has a role to play. We have seen county assemblies coming up with legislative tools that improve equitable distribution of resources. We've seen county executives following it through. We are implementing this. We are ensuring that there is public participation and even coming up with proposals, because they're the ones who are working, right? They can tell you what you need is not a borehole. What you need is piping from wards, the other one, you know? So that's the role of the executive, to help citizens understand this, what you would otherwise think are technical issues, okay? And academia, we've had the role of everyone. Kibet said CSOs, you're doing social audits. Can this inform something, policy making, all right? So we all have something to play. Even for partners, can we have coordinated development, all right? Can we all deal with inequality in a way that is coordinated? So everyone has a role to play, and even as we go out this afternoon, ask yourself, the ladies from Samburu, what am I doing to improve the situation in Samburu? Do I have the data for Samburu? Where can I get it? Who do I approach? Do I talk to the county assembly? Do I talk to the county executive? So that we start moving forward as opposed to just talking.
By and large, I think it's like we're in agreement that Jesume is red.
In terms of water.
In terms of water.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, we are looking at the general development. It's like we are agreeing. Because we have started with the road. I mean, health center, health facilities. Now we are looking at the water. The roads we were.
It is only roads that was fairly.
Yeah. But now we have two sectors that we are feeling that they were poorly done. Meaning, by and large, it was red.
Nandi Hills.
Nandi Hills nile inaenda mpaka Tindiri.
Yes. The borders didn't.
I think sio haijafika. Nandi is hata kuzinalalamika sana, that is fair.
Nandi Hills is fair.
It is everything.
Hata huko iko mtu mzuri.
Yes, everything.
Alafu hizi za chai
Lakini most
zinasaidia.
done by the estates, but
That's why.
even
Health is the same.
Yes.
So what is developed there? Change it to
It's in between. It's better than this.
But I think Westport in the last 5 years.
Because where we have military trainings is here. At the border, and here. But not with the Samburu County, not even here.
Not even here.
Nanyuki is here, almost near Isiolo than Moraga. So here we have Batu. It's here in Achas, somewhere here. This place is actually a bit where Achas, the county is it's large, but then they are people just dispatched so far from each other that it becomes also a bit difficult.
What is your headquarters?
Here.
Okay, so no development even around the headquarters. No.
Just some little interested farmers. Have been told.
The status of roads, water, health facilities.
We don't really have, we don't have any. This is the only
There's only road.
And this is going to Ethiopia. So it's just passed by chance. In terms of hospitals, we have only two major hospitals. This is one here which was built by missionaries, and the referral hospital at the county headquarters. Here, this is another constituency, there is no any hospital. This is Baragwe, this is where Baragwe is. Water, we only have one dam here, and it's not really big. Sometimes the water levels can go low, and Maralal, where the county headquarters is, can lack water for months.
So it's the rest, like water, the whole county.
So in West Pokot, we have 20 wards. We have tried to break it down to the 20 wards. Okay, in terms of constituencies. In terms of constituencies, we have 4 constituencies. That is North Pokot, and then we have Central Pokot, Pokot South on this side, and then West Pokot, that is Kapenguria constituency. Well, in terms of colors, you can see the whole county is predominantly red. That's the entire North Pokot, and then almost half of Central Pokot. And then the county headquarters is located just down here next to Trans Nzoia, that is Kapenguria, and that's where we have some green. The surrounding parts is a mixture of both green and black, denoting some developments, a mixture of least that is fairly developed and developed. So that's what's surrounding the area of Kapenguria. So the entire county is predominantly red, as you can see. Thank you.
This is Samburu County. You can see we've painted entirely red.
Yeah, we are asking for 50 shades of red, but we couldn't get. So just to paint where Samburu County is, we border Turkana on the upper side, Marsabit, Isiolo, Laikipia, and Baringo. We have 3 constituencies in Samburu. We have Samburu West, where the county headquarters is. This is where Maralal is. We have Samburu North. Baragoi is famously known here. We have Samburu East, where Wamba is, Wamba sub-county. We have 0% tarmac road. As you can see, there's no road at all. Luckily, Lapset passed here from Isiolo through going to Marsabit. So this is the only place you can say a road is tarmacked in Samburu County by luck or something. The entire place is not tarmacked. A road was recently launched here that's supposed to go to Maralal, but it was launched by first Moi, Kibaki, and recently Uhuru also launched. So we don't know who will ever implement it. In terms of healthcare, we have only 2 main hospitals. Wamba Mission Hospital, which was built by missionaries, and Maralal Referral Hospital, poorly equipped. This is the government-owned hospital. This is much better because it's owned by missionaries. Right now, the county government has a little share. In Baragoi, we don't have an hospital at all. Here, actually, this is where we border Tiati. For Baringo people, we border Tiati constituency here. And on the other side, we border Turkana, a lot of cattle rustling and all that. We have 16 wards. This little green here is a ward called Losuk Ward and Poro Ward, where agriculture happens. And this is where we have a little water, but not piped or anything, just by God's own ways. We have streams and rivers. We only have 1 dam in Maralal that supplies water to the county headquarters that was constructed during the colonial times. The county government recently launched another dam, and that's the only water we have. Other parts, there's no borehole, there's really nothing. So Samburu County is definitely just red. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. We are from Nandi County, and we would wish to give an impression of how our county looks like. So Nandi County has 6 constituencies, and that's why you can see the boundaries. We have Mosop, Chesumei, Mguen, Aldai, we have Nandi Hills, and Tinderet constituency. What you can see is that around the center, we have a lot of green dominating, because that is where the county headquarters is around. So most of the facilities around are available around the headquarters. And towards the peripheries, that is in Mosop, Tinderet, and some parts of Chesumei, we have a lot of red, meaning that there's a lot that needs to be done towards the end. So generally, we can see that what is dominant in Nandi County is red, because it's available in 3 constituencies. And then we have black in 1 constituency and green in 2 constituencies. So that means that Nandi County still needs to have a lot of focus in terms of distribution of resources.
It is important that citizens realize that it is upon themselves to demand for information and their rights and responsibilities too, if and when the government and the relevant institutions are not delivering.
It is our belief at the International Budget Partnership that governments provide information when there's demand for information. And if there's no demand, then governments will not provide that information. So we assume, on the basis of the outcomes that we are seeing, that there's not enough demand from the public to know what is happening to the money that is raised by government and how it's being used.
We have these spots where people are fighting, and you fight for this right in one place, and perhaps it becomes a universal right. The story of the security guard who got killed, hit, and injured, spending 18 hours on an ambulance and not getting attention because he didn't have health insurance. It is now law in Kenya that you have to be attended to. That's why we fight. That's why his wife, after she got through her grief, got to fight for his dignity, got to fight not just now, it turns out, for his dignity, but for the dignity of every Kenyan, rich or poor.
And although that can never bring back a loved one, it is an example of how the widow, Jessica Moran, did not allow his death to go in vain. The Health Act that was passed in June this year, for the last 6 months of its debate in Parliament, was called the Alex Madaga Bill by parliamentarians. In that act, it is now a criminal offense for an administrator or a hospital to deny emergency health care to anybody, any citizens, regardless of what their income is or their ethnicity or where in the country they come from. And it is finable up to 3 million shillings should it happen. 1 in 10 people in Kenya will end up needing emergency health care. In fact, if you don't die in your sleep, you will need emergency health care, whether it is a fire, whether it is a building that has collapsed, whether it is criminal action, whether it is civil unrest, or whether you just have a heart attack. Now, if one of us, 1 in 10 require this, in this room there's probably about maybe 100 people in here, 10 of us are going to require emergency health care, but we are unaware of the Health Act. And that act empowers you to go and demand stabilization and emergency care should you need it or should anybody in your community need it. We will only see the fruits of a government, of a constitution, and of a judiciary if citizens remain awake and they demand that which is theirs by their constitution and that is theirs by their human dignity.
So when people question, when people ask, why don't we have education? Why don't we have health? Why is this? Instead of addressing that inequality, they suppress democracy. They suppress the voice of people. Do you get it? So the reaction of many governments is undemocratic. It's against democracy, so that injustice can remain. And we can't accept that. We just have to keep on fighting peacefully. We just have to keep on insisting on this right and defending democracy and the right to speak.
Tulikuwa na night vigil at Kideros. Tulilala hapo, tukakesha hapo mpaka asubuhi. And we had a strategy. Kila mtu alikuja kivyake, alitokea kwa kona yake na tulinyamaza. Walistukia tumefika. Unataka kuniambia hawa watu wakuja hapa hawana license? Si tulikuwa na license? Yeah. We had license from Neema. But wale askari walituambia nini? Turudi. Tuliwaambia tutafanya nini? Hatutarudi, tunaongojea nini? Tunaongojea haki zetu. Tunataka Kidero atuambie, hizi nyumba amezipata na zinaishi watu ama zinaishi nguruwe. Ni kweli? Alituambia, hakutuambia. Si ni kweli? Lakini tulishika memo. Tulisomea nani? Mweke. Hakufikisha.
However, in their quest for justice while challenging the government on perceived injustices, pro-activists should not lose sight of their focus as to why they are fighting, which is ultimately their service to the community.
We realize that there are so many schools in Kibera that people don't know about, including the government. When we presented this to the Minister of Education, they were shocked and also excited at the same time, because they were like, hizi shule zote ziko Kibera? And we are like, okay. We mapped 350 schools. And for the government, they knew about just 70 schools. So that was a shock to them. But again, they said this is nice because now we can be able to reach out to some of these schools. They had this idea at the back of their mind that they could do away with some schools which are operating without having been registered, which our data showed clearly that, yes, many of these schools are operating under either churches, NGOs, or CBOs. They are not registered by Minister of Education. But how could the government afford to close all these schools? Did they have an option to take these kids to? The answer is no. So they were forced to come up with something called APBET, Alternative Provision to Basic Education and Training, so that they would start accommodating these schools. They would start to upgrade them and even improve some of them, so that, and also help them to register under the government. So APBET enables informal schools to be registered with the government. And they are doing away with the word informal school to APBET, because the schools are informal, yes, but the students are not informal.
there are a lot of data producers, especially even in academia. Most universities are sending students to conduct data. And I think what we need to do is that, because even when we do go to collect data ourselves, we usually go through the counties. We never go directly to collect data from, for example, households without going through the executive and kind of trying to relay what you're doing. I think what we need to do is more structured engagement, whereby we also present findings of the results that we are finding to counties, and also share the data with the counties so that they're able to use in terms of their planning.
During the discussions in the week and through personal testimonies, different forms of inequalities were highlighted and how they affected individuals and the community. Solutions to these inequalities are not always the same, and the different speakers spoke of the unique ways in how each tackled their challenges.
I think one of the most important things to take away from this is that people fight. They don't sit back, and they fight and they win. Sometimes we win. It is not easy, but sometimes we win. So it is worth fighting, and it is worth fighting together. So you're not alone. Alone, they will push you around. Alone, they will kill you. Alone, they will stamp on you. Alone, they will defeat you. But if you're fighting arm in arm with other people, it's almost cliched. Huh? You stand a better chance of winning.
As women, we suffer a lot of inequality because of the gender. Also, sometimes as young women because of the age. In Kenya, as you know, we have retrogressive culture and taboos, where women are not allowed to own land or access even control, and even are not even given time or included in the decision-making issues of land. So that's the reason made me to climb Kilimanjaro, to raise the voice of women, so that we can get space, our voice can be heard, so that we can get redress and have equality in all spaces. And in this year, first anniversary that was done in Addis Ababa, where I took part, we prioritized the issues of demand, and we came with indicators and what to be done so that women can access land, can control, and even we lobby for the space in regional AU so that our Kenyan women can have their voice be heard.
I personally, I can say there was a time I was stable financially. Why am I saying so? I was having 3 tractors, and with these tractors, I was doing business on plowing land. But because of this struggle of my land, because I was affected, everything went out. I had no money, but I didn't give up on struggling. I said, come what or what, this is my land, I need it. And that's why I struggled. I went even to Kilimanjaro. I'm lucky. During those struggles, I have managed to meet different people. And these different people, like the NLC chairman, the politicians, Nyumba ya Mumbi, ActionAid, activists, help everyone, have managed at least to get a step somewhere. Because after the Kilimanjaro initiative, that was last year, November, early this year, on May, I have managed to get a title deed. I also have to make sure that these other women, we have 150 women who are ready to stand and give out per their struggle on the land issues because they don't have the title. That's why I'll continue struggling. Because even me, I have managed to get that title deed because there is someone somewhere who hold me my hand and said, Cecilia, pass here, you make it.
So it's high time for us women and the young women at large so that we stand up for our rights. Land is the source of everything. It's the mother to development. So if we own land and access and control, then that means the economical and social status of our women will improve and our livelihoods will increase.
I'm with an organization of women fighting AIDS in Kenya, whereby women fighting AIDS in Kenya are fighting for rights for women who are already infected and affected with HIV virus. When it comes to the society, especially the issue of inheritance. Widows are being, their rights are being violated when it comes to the issue of land, because they don't have a say. An African woman doesn't have a say when it comes to the issue of land ownership. Most of the title deeds, they are lands that they have already inherited from the great-grand-father-in-laws. It has been a family thing, but here it has come to whereby when you are determined, first of all, what makes a woman to be strong? Number one, acceptance. Accept the reality. Yeah, the gender part of it. You are a woman and need to be strong. 2, be focused. You need to live on your objectives. When your objectives are right and clear, you will achieve your goals.